Hey everyone, how are you? In this video, we are going to solve the classical lead code problem, the problem number 1, which is 2 sum. But this is the question which most of the beginners start solving in lead code, right? So we are going to see this problem in depth and we are going to understand two different approach to solve this particular problem. Now the given input in the problem is an array of integers and let's call it as nums. And there is another input which is integer and let's call it as target. Now in lead code what we have is we have a set of input and we need to reach to an output. And there is a logic involved, there is a process which we have to follow to reach from the input to the output. And that is what we are going to see. We need to output an array and this array will have two elements A and B. Let us call it as A and B. So we can say that we need to output an array of two indexes such that nums of A plus nums of B is equal to target. It means that we need to output an array of two elements and these two elements let us call it as A and B, and these A and B are two indexes such that for the given input nums of A and nums of B when added will be equal to the target. Now there are some points which we should know. Those are there will definitely be two such indexes. So the thing is, whatever the input is given and whatever the target is given, the input is made in such a way that there will always be an answer. That is, there will always be two such indexes such that nums of A plus nums of B will be equal to the target. Second point is only one answer exists. That is, there is only one pair of indexes A and B such that this formula is going to be true. The third point, which is very important, is that A should not be equal to B. That is, you cannot take same indexes. You cannot say 2, 2, right? Or 3, 3. The indexes A and B will always be different. So A is not equal to B. And finally, A, B or B, A both are valid answers, because whether you say nums of A plus nums of B or you say nums of B plus nums of A, both are same, right? 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 2, both are same, right? So A, B and B, A both are valid answers. We just need to find out two such indexes in our given array nums such that nums of A plus nums of B will be equal to the target. Now let us understand this with few examples. In the example number 1, the given array nums is 2, 7, 11 and 15 and the target we need to find out is 9. Now in this case you can say that the element 2 is at index 0, 7 is at index 1, 11 is at index 2 and 15 is at index 3. What can be the answer? You can say 2 plus 7 is 9, right? So index of 2 is 0, index of 7 is 1. So what are the valid answers? It can be an array with two elements 0, 1 or 1, 0. Both are valid answers. So you can return either this or you can return this one. Now in the example number 2, the given nums array is 3, 2, 4 and the target which we need to find out is 6. So from 3 to 4 which are at index 0, 1, 2, try to find out two numbers such that the sum of those numbers will be equal to target. So it is 2 and 4, right? 2 plus 4 is 6. So the output is going to be 1, 2 or 2, 1. So this is your output because these are the indexes. 1 and 2 are the indexes at which you have the numbers 2 and 4. So that's all we need to find out. Now there is one of the simple approach which we can follow, the solution approach number 1. In this approach, what we will do is we are going to run two loops. The first loop is going to run from 0 to length minus 1, whatever the length of our array is minus 1. And let us say the loop is running with the variable I. So there is a loop which will run from I is equal to 0 to I is equal to length minus 1. Now inside this first loop, there will be another loop which will run and that will run from I plus 1 to length minus 1. So this is your I, right? And this is I plus 1. So let us call that the second loop will run with a variable j. So the second loop with variable j will run from I plus 1 to length minus 1. First, let me explain you the logic and I will also tell you how can you reach to this logic. If you don't know about this logic, then what is the thought process behind it? What will happen? This loop will create all the pairs of indexes. Now the thing is, try to understand what do you need to find out. You are given an array nums and a target and you need to find out a pair of index such that nums of A and nums of B when added is equal to target. So you basically need to find out what are the different pairs of indexes which are possible. So let us say if the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, then what are the different pairs of indexes? It is 0, 1, then 0, 2, then 0, 3, right? And after that you will have 1, 2, then 1, 3, and then you will have 2, 3. So these are the different pair of indexes which are possible, and that is what we are trying to create here. We are trying to run a loop from 0 to length minus 1 and then I plus 1 to length minus 1. This loop will run inside the first loop and this is going to create all pairs of indexes. We will see how. Now when we have all the pairs of indexes which are possible, then out of that one of the pair is our answer, right? Because if you see the points to know, there will definitely be two such indexes and only one answer will exist, right? So we know that if we are able to create all the pairs of indexes, then one of them will definitely be our answer. So what we are going to do, we are going to check for each pair of indexes. Let us call I and j because our loop is I and j. So this is our pair and we will check that if the nums of I plus nums of j is equal to our target. And if it is true, then you can return an array of I, j or j, I. Both are valid. So you can return any of it. Now let us see how this will work. So let us say our input is 11, 2, 15 and 7. This is our nums. Let us say this is our nums array. let us try to find out the output with two different targets. Target is 9 and target is 22. So we will understand the process using both the targets. Now, what do we need to do first? We just need to run a loop from I equal to 0 to I equal to length minus 1. So what is the length of our given array? It is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 elements are there. So the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3. And that's why we are just running the loop up to length minus 1, because the last index is always length minus 1, right? Okay, so we have I equal to 0 to 3. We will run a loop for 4 times. And inside every loop, for every value of I, 0, 1, 2, 3, we need to run another loop, right? And that loop is going to run from I plus 1 to length minus 1. So when I is equal to 0, it will run from 1 to 3. This will be the value of j, right? J will be 1, 2, 3. Then when I is 1, then j will be 2 to 3, right? When I is 2, then j will be 3 to 3. And when I is 3, in this case, j will start from 4 to 3, and this is invalid. This is not a valid loop, right? So we are not going to process this last one. Now let us try to process each of the loop. When I is 0 and j is 1, 2 and 3, in this case, what are the different pairs we are creating? It is 0, 1, then 0, 2 and 0, 3 when I is 0, right? So this is I and this is j. So basically it's a pair of I, j. Now you need to check if nums of I plus nums of j is equal to target. Now let us say the target is 9. If the target is 9, in this case 0, 1. So 0 is this one, 1 is this one. What are the elements at 0, 1? It is 11 and 2. Their sum is 13, which is not equal to 9, right? So in this case, we will process for the next pair 0, 2, which is 11 and 15, which is 26, again not equal to 9. So 0, 3, which is the next pair, which is 11 and 7, because they are at index 0 and index 3. So 11 plus 7 is 18, which is not equal to 9. So with I equal to 0, we are not able to find the answer. Let us say I is equal to 1. In this case, the different pair which we can form is index is I is 1, right? So we need to form pair with 2 and 3. And that is what we are doing. I is equal to 1, then j will run from 2 to 3. Now there is one more thing which you need to understand. Why are we running the loop from I plus 1? And the reason for this is a should not be equal to b. That is, whatever answer you are forming, both the indexes should be different. And that's why what we are doing is, when I is 0, we are trying to form the pair of 0 with 1, 2 and 3. When I is 1, we are forming the pair with 2 and 3. And when I is 2, we are forming a pair with 3. So basically this will form all the unique pairs and different pairs. It will not be 0, 0, because when we are at I equal to 0, j is 1, 2 and 3. And that is why we are running the loop from I plus 1, right? So let us check for this one. When I is equal to 1, then the different pair which we can form is 1, 2 and 1, 3. The values are 2 and 7 for 1, 2, which is 17. When you add it, it is 17, 2 plus 15. So 1, 2, the elements are 2 and 15. The sum is 17, which is not equal to our target, 9, right? So we are going to check the next pair, which is 1, 3. Now 1, 3 means index 1, index 3, the elements are 2 and 7. 2 plus 7 is 9, which is equal to our target 9. And the moment we find the correct pair, we can directly return our value 1, 3 or 3, 1. That is I, j or j, I. Both are valid. Now let us say the target is 22. So the process is not going to change. We will follow the same process. We are going to check for each pair, and for whatever pair we are getting the sum as 22, we are just going to return that pair of indexes. So in this case, the output is going to be 2, 3, because for index 2 and for index 3, the elements are 15 and 7. So the sum is 22, which is equal to our target. So it's a very basic process. You just run 2 loops to form all the pairs. And we can call it as brute force because we are trying to do everything possible to get our answer. Now, what is the time complexity of this process, this particular logic? It is O of n square. And how can we find it? See, here n is the length of our array. So try to think how many times are we performing the operation. We are actually doing it for n multiplied by n minus 1. Because you can see the loop, right? It is running up to length minus 1 from 0. That is total n times. And this second loop is actually running for n minus 1 times. So n multiplied by n minus 1, that is our complexity or time complexity. And this will be equal to O of n square minus n. And in big O notation, we can actually say it as O of n square. And the space complexity, so we are not using any extra space to store any extra data, right? We are just using few variables to run our loop like I and j, but we are not having some kind of array or some kind of map to store a lot of data, right? So in that case, we can say the space complexity is O of 1. Time complexity is not very good, but the space complexity is really good. Now this is one process to solve this particular problem. Let me show you what will the solution look like in Python. Now this is the solution in Python. What we are doing is we are first finding the length of our array nums. Then we are running a loop for I in the range of L, which will run from 0 to length minus 1, L minus 1. Then there is another loop inside this loop, which is running from I plus 1 to L, which is for j in range I plus 1 to L. And now we are checking if nums of I plus nums of j is equal to target. And the moment we are getting this particular condition as true, we are returning I, j as an array. And that's the complete solution for this particular problem using this approach. Now, if you will notice the runtime and memory used, the memory is really good because space complexity is really good for this solution. but the runtime is not very good because the time complexity is O of n square. So let us try to optimize the process. Let us try to optimize the runtime, the time complexity, and let us see how we can do it. So the second approach is a different approach. In this particular approach, the time complexity is going to be O of n and the space complexity is going to be O of n. Now here you will see that the time complexity is really good. It's reduced from n square to O of n, but the space complexity is increased from O of 1 to O of n, which is fine because this process involves using some extra spaces. So let us try to understand the process again. This is the same input. The elements are 11, 2, 15 and 7. Indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3. And our target is, again, we will try to find out two different targets, 9 and 22. Now the total number of elements are 4. Now before we start understanding the process, let us try to understand a very basic mathematical formula. In this particular input, we are asked to find out two numbers such that their sum is equal to our target, right? For example, to find out 9, we can say 2 plus 7, or to find out 22, we can say 15 plus 7, right? Now this formula is x plus y, where x is our first number, y is our second number, is equal to target. This is what we need to find out. Now I can also say that this y is equal to target minus x, right? This is the simple thing. Now from here, what I can draw is, if I know about one of the number, let us say I know about x, then I will know about y because target is already known to us, right? We know about the target which is given in the input. But if we know about one number out of it, which is x, then we already know about y, right? And this is what we are going to do. What we are going to do is, we are going to store the numbers which we have seen. We are just going to run a simple loop which will access each element, 11, then 2, then 15, then 7. And what we are going to say is, we are going to say, let us say 11 is our x. If 11 is our x, then we know what the y will be, right? If 2 is our x, then we know that what our y will be. So this is what we are going to do. We are just going to run one loop instead of two, and every time what we are going to do is, we are just going to find out what is the value of y. Now first of all, let us try to do it manually. Let us say we run a loop. First we find out the first element, which is 11. In this case, target minus 11, what will be the value? It will be minus 2, right? Let us say the target is 9 for now, so the value is minus 2. So it means that if we have a value which is minus 2 in our array, then we know about our data, right? We know that 11 and minus 2 is our answer, and we just need to return their indexes. At this point of time, how can you know that minus 2 exists in our data? Now one of the processes, what you can do, you can again run another loop in the array and try to see, do you have a minus 2 or not? If you don't have, then yes, 11 cannot be your x, right? But there is a problem. If you try to find out minus 2 by running a loop in the array, then this process is again going to take O of n square, because we are running one loop to access each element, and then to find out the existence of this y, we are running another loop. So this is not going to help. But there is a way by which we can directly find out the existence of minus 2 in our array without running a loop in our array. There is a data structure for it. That data structure is generally called as map, or we can call it as dictionary in Python. Now this data structure, map and dictionary, stores values in key value format. There is a key and there is a value, and in this data structure the keys are stored in a hashed format, so that if you want to check the existence of a particular value as a key in your data, you can directly check it in just one operation without running a loop. So this is what we are going to make use of. What we are going to do is, every time we see a new value, we are going to store it as a key value. In Python, you are going to store it in dictionary. In other languages like Java, you have map, right? So you can store your value in key value format. Now what we are going to do is, we will first check the first element. Okay, 11. Put it in the formula, this one. Mark x as 11. Then you know that y is minus 2. You need an element minus 2. Now when you are at this point, you don't have anything in your map or dictionary data structure. It is empty. So when you will ask your data structure that, do I have a minus 2? It will say no. It means that I cannot form a pair with 11 as an answer. So I will move forward. But before I move forward, what I will do is, I will store 11 as the key and 0 as the value. This is the key. This is the data I have already seen in my array, and this is the index of my data. So that next time, if my y is 11, that is I need another 11, then in that case, I will directly check it in my data, the dictionary data, and I will know that 11 is there, which is at index number 0. So for now, we don't have an answer, but right now we have this in our data structure, okay, or this in our dictionary data. Next is, we check for 2. If 2 is our value, if 2 is our current value, then in that case, target is 9, this is 2, y is 7, right? Now, if the value of y is 7, it means that if there is a 7 in my data, then I got the answer, right? Now, you might say that I do have a 7, but the thing is, as of now, in my data structure, in my dictionary, I have not seen 7. So at this point, I will not have the answer. So target minus 2, which is 7, is not in our data, right? We will still get our answer with this process. But for now, what we will do is, we will do the same thing. We will move forward to the next element. But before that, we are going to store this in our data. So now our dictionary data looks something like this. It has two keys, 11 and 2. The values are 0, the indexes, and 1. Now let us check for the next element, target minus 15, the next element. The next element is at index number 2, and it says that right now the target is 9. x is 15, so y is minus 6. I need a minus 6. Do I have it in my data? No, I don't have, right? So in this case, I can just say I don't have minus 6. I will move forward, but before I move forward, I'm going to store this in my data. Now my data structure looks something like this. Let us check for the next element, which is 7. Now y is equal to target minus x, which is target minus 7, which is 2, right? Now do I have a 2 in my data? Yes, I do have, right? What is the value of it? I have 2. The value is 1. It means 2 is in our data, which is at index 1. And I am currently at index 3, right? So I know that 3 will be the part of my answer and 1 is going to be the part of my answer. And my final output will look something like 1, 3. This 3 is coming from my current index because I am running a loop. So I am at this index, right? And this 1 is coming from y, which is 2. For 2, the value is 1. So this is at index number 1. So index 1 and index 3. So 1, 3 is our answer. That's it. And this is how this particular data is helping us. But again, this is of space complexity O of n because we are actually now storing some extra data, right? And this is a huge number of data. It's not a single variable or two variables. This can be huge number of data. It's almost equal to n data because we are almost storing n number of data, and that is why it is space complexity O of n. Let us quickly see the same process using target as 22. Again, what you will do is you will see the first element, which is 11. So first of all, target is 22, x is 11, y is 11, right? Now you might say that, hey, I have 11, but no, you have already used this 11 as your x and you need some other elements because both the indexes of your answer should not be same. So right now, if I will say 22 minus 11, I need an 11. So at this point of time, I don't have anything in my data because this is the first element I have seen. So the moment I see an element, I'm not going to store it. I'm first going to find out what is the value of y in this case. It is 11. Do I already have an 11? No, I don't have, right? So at this point of time, this will not be the part of my answer. 11 is not the part of my answer, but 11 is the part of my dictionary data. Let us ask 2 that if 2 is my current element, what is y? It is 22 minus 2, that is target minus x, which is 20. Do I have a 20? Have I seen a 20? No, I have not seen, right? I have just seen one element, which is 11. So at this point, I will just move forward. But what I will do is I will say, this is my data now. I have 2 elements in my dictionary data. What is the third element? The third element is 15. So 22 minus 15, the same formula, target minus x. This will be 7. I need a 7. I don't have a 7 as of now in my data, but I will store this 15. So now my data is having 3 different keys, 11, 2 and 15. The values are 0, 1 and 2. Now what about the next element? It is 7, right? The 7 says that target minus x, 22 minus 7, which is 15. So y is 15. I need an element 15 in my data. I do have it, right? The 15 is at index number 2, right? So at this point of time, I am at index number 3. The element which I need, that is 15, is at index number 2, which is coming from the dictionary data. So I can directly say 2, 3 is my output when the target is 22. And that's it. This is the complete process for this particular logic. Now this logic is helpful in time complexity, but not so helpful in space complexity. But still, this is the best approach you should follow because this is most optimal process to solve this particular problem. Now let me go back to the code editor and let me show you how this particular solution will look like in Python. So this is the complete solution when you do it in Python. First of all, we need to declare a data which is of dictionary. Then we are going to run a loop in our array norms, but we are going to enumerate our data, I, n. I will store the current index, n will store the current number. And then we will find out if I have target minus n. So basically you can say n is our x and this is our y, right? So target minus x, if we have target minus n in our data, then I can directly say return my current index, comma, data of target minus n, because this is going to store the index of my target minus n. So whatever the value of this is, we are just going to find out what's the value of this in my data dictionary. This is my current index, this is my other index, this is my final answer. But in case this is not true, we are going to say data of n. That is, we are going to store this n in our data and we are also going to store its index. So this is the key, this is the value we are storing. And that's the complete solution for this particular problem using this approach. Now, if you will notice the runtime, the time complexity is really good, right? It's almost 100% 0 ms, right? But the space complexity, the memory used is a bit high now, which is fine because the space complexity is O of n in this case. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope this video explains you in depth about this particular problem to some. And I also hope that this video helps you to understand the solution approach, the problem and everything about this. And if it did, then make sure that you hit that like button. And if you have not subscribed to my channel as of now, then you can subscribe to my channel as well because I have solved almost 50 to 60 Leetcode problems and you can check it out in my channel. So I hope to see you guys again. So make sure that you do subscribe to the channel and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching this video, guys.